On this episode, keep a log. Hey everybody, this is the quarter show, and when I was driving in this morning, the thing I wanted to talk about that I thought about was that keeping a log, keeping a log of successful actions and unsuccessful actions actually from your team. If you're sales management, then write them down when you see them, when you have a good week. One thing that we've done in the past is, when we have a huge week or something like this, we take a second, and I've taken a second to actually write down and interview every single sales rep and kind of get a feel for like what happened that week, what happened on this deal, especially the big sales reps that do really well. What happened? Well, why did this deal come in? What did you do here? What happened there? And start asking questions and then jot them down. We keep it on a Google Doc, very simple. Keep it on just bullet point out a Google Doc, put the date in terms of when it happened. And just keep notes. And it's amazing. You kind of go through deal by deal, because often salespeople and people that are dealing with things like that, they don't think about that. They just go have a big week, they have a big win, or they have a big lose, essentially a bad week, and they just move on. They don't think a lot about it. They're like, okay, well, that sucked, or that was great, and let's move on. Instead of taking a second to go, okay, what happened? You closed this deal. Why? How did you close it? What happened? What were you doing to get them there? They weren't in communication before. What did you do to get them in communication? What promo did you send? What email did you send? What material did you send? Why? And all these different things. You go through a series of questions, and then you can keep a log, and you start logging the different things, and that log becomes incredibly valuable when you're training new sales reps, or when people drop things out, which they will, right? You have a great sales rep who's doing something well, and then they are not doing so well, and you go and look at the successful action log, and you think, or you go through and even ask them, are you doing this? Are you doing this? Or all these different points in. 9 times out of 10, you'll find stuff that they dropped out. You'll find stuff that is no longer in play. And, you can go back and get it corrected. So then they can see it. But I found that if you don't write things down, they just disappear. They just are no longer remembered or recalled, and people just forget what they did. And then if when they hit a lull or they hit a tough period, it's hard to correct, because people somehow don't have a great time or are not very strong at recalling what happened and what they did. So I would encourage you to keep a log for successful and unsuccessful. If you're having a tough time or something, you have a bad week, jot that down too. Like, here's the successful actions, log those. Here's the things that are proven to be unsuccessful. Don't do these things. And you can bullet point those things out. Like, the rep did XYZ and just dismal week or whatever. Write that down. And you can use it to guide future reps and train brand new reps. It can help pick up your onboarding, right? If you bring on a new rep, you can show them, like, look, these are the successful actions. These are the unsuccessful actions. Study these, know these cold, do these things, and just make it sacred. And it's going to help you in the long run sort of preserve the things that are working.
The title of this video probably should have been Moneyball, honestly.
Yeah.
Because those guys, here's one of Richter's logs right here. This book is called What Works, and this is over the first few years, written by Robert, and I believe Will contributed as well. This is a log of successful actions of Richter. Now, Robert owes another book to Richter.
Yeah, it's coming.
Because you've been talking about it for a couple months. Good.
It's coming.
Good. So there's another log of the successful actions coming. But so you can take it from the book level or something like that, and it can be smaller things though, like you say, just to take on the weekly basis, and you look at what worked and what didn't, and you might have a few things that you have to bring to every single week, like every single week from your specific post, maybe in sales or marketing or whatever you're doing, and you have to always, by Tuesday you have to have your email blast out, by Tuesday morning or whatever. There are certain ones every day must have at least 30, 40, 50 phone calls, whatever it is. It's got to have certain things to it. There are smaller successful actions like that can be written down in principles and stuff like that. And then the importance of it, like you just mentioned, is the sharing with the team for future people. Like, you don't expect in sales, sometimes when it's pretty hot and fast, and you're working for a single week or a single deal or whatever you're trying to do. But to project a future for the company and stuff like that, like you have to have materials.
And being systematic, honestly, I mean, selling, you can be very systematic and scientific about the way you go, about the way you attain it. So it's not just these sort of peaks and valleys, right? Constant peaks and valleys, and to get rid of the peaks and valleys, you got to sort of look at the things that are making it, work and not work, and just consistently doing those things. And the way human beings are is like when you read it and look at it over and over and over again, after a while it becomes culture. After a while it becomes second nature, like driving stick shift, or maybe not in 2018 driving stick shift. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. But it's like it becomes something you just do, and you get good at it. You don't have to look at the document anymore, because you're just now doing it, and that's what you want. You want your team just doing the things that are working and avoiding the things that don't, and then building a culture out of that, and after a while you build a great player. You build a player that's doing those things over and over and over and over again, but it's hard to do those things unless they're documented. Thank goodness for books, people writing things down. That the books are essentially just a sequence of things that if people have documented the successful actions or the things that they've learned or that they know, and then you can obviously study books. So, keeping a journal or keeping a, bullet log of the things that work for your company and for your team, it's critical. And if you don't document it, it just, time has no memory. It just disappears.
It's true. Not everybody's a baseball fan, but there was a baseball pitcher named Dennis Eckersley in 1988. First game of the World Series against. Anyway, the details aren't important. If you know it, then you know it, and if you don't, then that's fine. But here's the thing: he gave up a historic home run, one of the most dramatic it could be in a movie. He was the villain, and he gave up a home run and lost the game. He was the greatest closer in the business at the time. So ninth inning comes, game's over. Eckersley's in, game's over. Not that night, and then they lost that first game. Then they lost the whole World Series in 5 games. And so what happened is he gave up a home run. Now, right before he gave up the home run, he walked a guy. He put a guy on base, and that's what lost the game. So for the next few years, for the rest of his career, he almost didn't walk anybody. He started setting records for not walking people. He was like, cool, I'm never doing that again. He would pitch like 100 innings and walk like 4 people, like crazy numbers and stuff like that. So he was like, it was his successful action, right? He picked out that one, and it led to a Hall of Fame career. He's in the Hall of Fame now.
Wow.
So I mean, he was already good, but that just like
looking at
up
the
his
data.
game. Yeah, like he's like, cool. What led to this? The thing that led to this that I will never do again.
Yeah. And so sports is a great analogy. You got to be able to analyze the play. You play the game, and then you look at the tape. Right? You play the game, and then you look at the tape.
The great ones do.
Yeah, the great ones do. The great ones look at the tape.
tape.
I was a goaltender growing up. You look at the tape. You look at, wow, my legs are in that position or whatever. They analyze the play. You play and then analyze, and it's the same thing in sales. Play the game, look at the tape, right, and then document. And you start logging what worked and what didn't. So there you go. That's a tip. I hope you like it. I definitely think you should do it, and feel free to leave any comments for us here as well.
Yeah, if you want a book, just write it in the comments.
And buy a book.
Successful Actions
from Amazon.
Right there.
All right, thanks. Hit the like, share it with your sales team, and subscribe to the channel. Okay? Thanks.